Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Deham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaish Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Pridana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada. Text number 29 and 30 today. First chapter, Observing the Armies. So, I forgot my glasses, so this gentleman will chant the Sanskrit. Okay. You have a book? And the word for word. You can just miss the word for word, just one line of the Sanskrit, and then everyone will respond.
Okay. Text 29.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go straight to the translation, which, with the assistance of this light, I'm able to read. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gāṇḍīva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Please repeat. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow Gāṇḍīva is slipping from my hand. And my skin is burning. Translation number 30. I am now unable to stand here any longer. So I'll do the complete. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Please repeat. I am now unable to stand here. Any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. So, purport to number 29. Purport. There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standing of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms. Also, he became so impatient that his famous bow Gāṇḍīva was slipping from his hand, and because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. Purport, page number 30. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stand stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of his weakness of mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Bhayam samdaveshaha syat. Bhagavatam 11.2.37. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses on the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The word nimittayani viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. Arjuna is showing ignorance of the real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought that his victory in the battlefield would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Mukam karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yer kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. My whole body is trembling, Krishna. My hair is standing on end. My bow Gāṇḍīva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Yes. So Arjuna is suffering. It's very dramatic, isn't it? Sometimes we read all the philosophy and we get very involved in the philosophy, but actually it is a very dramatic situation, is it not? There are millions, literally millions, on the battlefield. Have you been to Kurukshetra? I've been a number of times. It's very flat, the whole area. There are big bathing tanks there. It's above Karnal. And so it's a great place for millions of people to gather together and fight a battle. So, just imagine, we are often thinking, oh, I'm not the body, I'm this, I'm that, and what is this and that. But this is in the middle of millions of people, right? This is setting the scene, the first chapter. Millions of people and two contesting parties, Duryodhana and Yudhisthira Maharaj. So here Arjuna is in the suffering condition, right? And Arjuna, of course, as Prabhupada said there, this is the will of Krishna. That means yogamaya. Normally, the materially conditioned soul, he wants to enjoy in this world. He wants to be the controller and enjoyer. So he suffers because of that. Because he's not the controller and enjoyer. It's an unnatural condition. He becomes full of anxiety because he can't control. Just like the Americans in Vietnam. They have so much bombs and weaponry and so many powerful and hundreds of thousands of soldiers, but they couldn't control, right? They couldn't control. A few villagers in the jungle, they conquered them, threw them out of the country. Same thing in Afghanistan. The Russians came in there. They want to control. They were bombing everyone, but they had to leave. Right? They couldn't control. Then the Americans came in. They couldn't control. Eventually they had to run out. So in this world, we are never controllers. We are controlled. And that is the real situation, but we don't see it. Because whatever Krishna has created, that remains. Just like Krishna, you'll see later, that Krishna created the varnashram system. Right? We've seen that. So people say, oh, there's no varnashram nowadays. There are no Brahmas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. Prabhupada, this is what Krishna says. But no, actually if you look at society, you will always have an intellectual class. the thinkers, the teachers. Only nowadays, in Kali Yuga, they don't know what they should be thinking and teaching. But they're the intellectual class, right? They should be thinking and studying the Vedas, which is the handbook on the material world. That is what they should be thinking. And they should be studying the Vedas, but instead they're studying mental speculation. Maybe there was a big bang, maybe the matter became conscious, maybe it evolved in this way. They are thinking the wrong subject matter. So there is the Brahminical class, even in very simple societies. In the Aboriginal societies, there'll be the medicine man, will there not? There'll be a medicine man. He's maybe worshipping spirits or something. And then there's always a Kshatriya class in society, is there not? There's always the government type, military type, the one that Ishwara Bhav, he wants to control, he wants to protect his thing. And in society there is always the business class, the Vaishya class. But Krishna in the Gita says, the Vaishyas, they should Krishi Go Raksha Vanijam, 3 things. He said you should look after the land, and then Go Raksha, on good land, you look after the cow particularly, and Vanijam, can do trading. So there's always the trading class, and then there's always the Sudra class. The Sudra class, they just want to have a job, get some income from their job, and be happy with their wife and children. And they're not particularly interested in very disciplined life. They may drink a bit of daru here and there, so on. So there's always the Sudra class. So Krishna has created those 4 classes, just like in this temple. What to speak of a city? In the temple here, we have many, many devotees, but there are some devotees that like to study, do kirtan, do yajna. Then there are some devotees that want to be managers, administrators, temple president. They want to be in charge of this department. And then there are devotees that, I want to open a shop. I want to have a stand out the front, and I'll sell prasadam, I'll run the restaurant. So they want to do some business type activities. Of course, in the temple, hopefully, everyone is giving the result to Krishna to some extent. And then there are the class of devotees that just want to find some job in the temple and be told what to do, right? Because that's what the Sudras do. They work for the Vaishyas or the Kshatriyas or the Brahmins, and they become elevated. But Krishna later says everyone, by following the nature of the work that they have the tendency towards, can become perfect. How? They should do that work as an offering to Vishnu. Yajñatna kamanonyatra lokayam kamabandhana. Work should be performed as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Otherwise, work binds one to the material world. So the motivation should be service of Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, rather than taking the fruit from myself. That's the first step of purifying one's activities. So here is Arjuna, and he is in suffering condition. His class is Kshatriya, right? And why? Because he's not ready to do his duty. The Kshatriya is two, a Kshatriya. Chat means protect, and Triya, deliver. In Sanskrit, Chat means to protect the people, the Prajapati. He's like the father of the nation, and the people of the nation are his offspring, you can say. He has a fatherly relationship. People naturally look at the government leader as a father figure. He's meant to protect. And Triyate, he's meant to deliver from harm. How does he protect? By becoming a devotee. He gets the blessings of the nation upon himself and the people of the nation. And Triyate, he must be a strong moral person and deliver them from physical harm, mental harm, but also he should deliver them from the material world. This is the teachings of Lord Rishabhdev in the 5th canto. You should not become a father, a worshipable demigod, a government officer, if you cannot deliver your dependents from birth and death. Because that is the aim of human life, to come to the position where you're out of the suffering condition. But Arjuna is in a confusion now. So this is very pertinent in Kali Yuga. In previous ages, the Vedic system was well established in society, but nowadays it's forgotten, but it's still there. The remnants are there, it's there. But the Brahmins are not studying the Vedas, they're studying atheistic speculation. Oh, the world came from a big bang. The Kshatriyas are not protecting the people, they're using their power to tax the people and fill their pocket, right? That's the problem with democracy. The democracy means the big business buys the politicians, and then the politician serves the business when they're in power. And they also take as much money as they can, because after 5 years they're out. But the Kshatriya, if he's the king of the land, just like if you're the king of your apartment, you don't exploit it, you maintain it nicely. As Prabhupada says, possession turns sand to gold. Right? If you have a house or a motorbike, and it's your motorbike, your house, your apartment, your jacket, you look after it. But if it's not yours, you think, that's why communism falls apart. Everything was falling apart. I went twice to Moscow in the time of Brezhnev and communism, 77, and people were so depressed, and nothing is working. All the shops, I think the first time I was there 3 days, and I had 4 oranges. There was no food. You couldn't get vegetarian food. I had 3 or 4 oranges. I was on the way to India. So, and the people were very frustrated. I was staying in the hotel, and I said, I'm vegetarian. We got no food, it's all cooked in lard or something, you know what I mean? We'll find something, and they brought 4 oranges after 2 hours. But I thought that, okay, but actually that was a great thing, because they had no orange, there was no imported oranges from Israel or Saudi Arabia, some dates, or, there was no trade with the evil capitalist world. So actually they had done a great thing. So I didn't realize at the time. So, but this is the material world, and they were miserable because their spirituality, it was against the law, practically. They closed up so many churches and this, if you were a spiritualist. They didn't close the synagogues, very interesting. But they, because Lenin and Stalin and Trotsky and Marx, they were all coming from the Zion, the rabbi Israeli tradition. But they didn't close them, it's very interesting. But the churches, the Christian churches, the Muslims, they suppressed. So they were not happy, you could see, they were very grey. But there was only one thing that was interesting, that I was walking around Moscow, probably being followed by the KGB, because I was an evil foreigner. And there was no advertisements anywhere. It was good in that way. You had these nice, magnificent buildings, Russian strong buildings, but there was no Coca-Cola or whatever, no women trying to sell you a new refrigerator like that, buy the latest this. So I went to Lenin Square, and the people, You have to be very careful. So they're imposing, they're not delivering the Kshatriyas nowadays. This is the problem. Why? Because they're not adhering to the Vedic prescriptions. In the Gita you will find that. And the Vaishyas now, they're controlling the Kshatriya, right? To get more money, more money. So now we have a class of people in the world, they're trillionaires, millions, and not a billionaire, they're trillionaires. And then you have people on the street, they cannot get their teeth fixed. They're completely, so they're not being protected. So, and then the Vaishyas, they exploit. And they just give money at interest, and everything is not a fair deal, how much money you can get. So you have a money culture. And the workers are dissatisfied, so then they become revolutionary. So, if there is no God consciousness, people are not satisfied in the material world. Here, Prabhupada is making the point that Arjuna is in this distressed condition because the material conception of life. And simultaneously, he's forgotten about his duty. His duty as a Kshatriya is to fight, to protect his brother. His brother is performing a good action, because Duryodhana is a very evil person. We know from Mahabharata, he tried to kill the Pandavas so much. He was very cruel. Also, I've read the Mahabharata, this section at the beginning, and it explains that he was always giving money and donations to the people, his inner circle, but the people were never happy with him. Somehow he didn't enter their hearts. They wanted Yudhisthira, because people naturally sense who is a good person, like the dog in the street, right? Sometimes he barks at a new face and sometimes he lets him go. The people sense. So Duryodhana was selfish. There's even one story I heard about Duryodhana. He didn't like to have an umbrella over his head because nothing should be above him. It's so foolish. Have you heard that one? It's in the Mahabharata, correct? He didn't want anything above his head. He must have complained about the sky and the clouds. But he had his head in the clouds. He had his head in illusion. So this suffering, actually, this is a good question. Because people say, this is one argument the atheists give. Why is there suffering if there is God? Right? That is the age-old argument. If God is good, there should be no suffering. If there is God, He should make everything nice. That is like a child who is being punished by his father, and he says, "Oh, why are you punishing me, father?" Well, because you only want to eat sweets, and it's not good for you. You're not doing your homework, and you will need a good education to get a good job in life. So suffering is not bad. Just like the person, he's drinking daru, alcohol, right? The next day he's suffering. He's ruined his brain. Millions of brain cells have been killed. So the suffering is to teach him, don't do that. Now, if he, instead of drinking the night before, he had a nice glass of milk, went to bed early, did some meditation, read some Bhagavad-Gita, then he wake up fresh and happy. But he drinks daru, he takes some other intoxications, trying to enjoy, and then the next day he's suffering. And what is the message? The message is, don't take these intoxicants. So the Vedic prescription are there to stop you from suffering. We're architects of our own suffering because we don't take we don't take the advice. And society worldwide is very disturbed now because they're not performing work as an offering to Krishna, as an offering to Vishnu. They're performing work selfishly, and they're being trained to think in that way. So everyone has become selfish. Just like Prabhupada said in the purport there, everyone is thinking their own self-interest. And if everyone is just thinking, just like in a family, family means where everyone has a common interest, the welfare of the family. So a good family, everyone is considerate of the other person's needs. But if in this family everyone is selfish, I want this, just like the monkeys, right? They look like they're having a big family, but you throw a bunch of monkeys there, a bunch of bananas, they're all fighting each other. They're all selfish to get. So selfishness and this animal society is animal society. But we think, oh, it's a good family, everyone is harmonious and considerate. So human society should be considerate in that way. And then the suffering condition of the material world is placated. But that doesn't answer the question of the atheist. The atheist says there's no God. Okay, suffering is good. It stops us from doing bad things, right? But that doesn't prove there's God. That doesn't prove there's God, right? The atheists may make that argument. Okay, that's a good point. You should act harmoniously and not, you should eat health foods instead of bad foods. But that doesn't prove there's God. Well, let's look at that point. It proves what? That you're under control. You don't want suffering. You don't want to grow old. You want to stay an 18-year-old your whole life. But time comes. Krishna says, Kalosmi aham, I am time. And he takes you through life and you become an old man and then eventually you die. What does that teach? And you do suffer. Nobody wants to get old. Nobody wants to become sick. Inevitably there is suffering. Nobody wants to lose the strength of youth, but you become old. So what does the suffering teach us? It teaches us that we are not the supreme. We are under control. Just like a man is driving a car very fast. The police stop him and they say, you have to pay 5,000 rupees. You're speeding. So he's suffering. And it's also teaching him, hey, there's a government here. It's not that you go to a country, you get an aeroplane ticket, you land, say I did in Russia, and there's no control. There's control everywhere. But ultimately, what is that control resting upon? There's natural conditions, adi-daivik, there's adi-bhotik, other people, and adi-atmic, body and mind, and we're suffering in this material world. So you can placate it by living a good life, but does that prove there's God? Yes, if you take further the step, you are under control. You're not the supreme. So suffering teaches us that we're not in control. So there's also another. So who is that ultimate controller? That is the supreme. That is the supreme. That is Brahma. Now the Vedas come forward and then they say Brahman has three aspects. Brahmatma, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman, the spiritual energy. And then there's Paramatma, who's within the material world, regulating everything. And then there is the Supreme Lord from whom everything has emanated. So suffering teaches us that we're not the Supreme also. And that is the cause of our material entanglement, the attempt to be the Supreme. You understand? Arjuna had his own plan. He didn't want to do his duty. He had his own plan. I can't fight. My Gāṇḍīva is slipping. It's a terrible thing. I have to fight on the battlefield. I have to kill my relatives, my teachers, my gurus. I've got my own plan. But Krishna says, no. You are subordinate, Arjuna. And now you have to do your duty. So we have to admit that we're not the supreme. And this is, we are tatastha shakti. This is in the last paragraph of the last verse. And Prabhupada explains there we're tatastha shakti. Tatastha means the line, tata. And we're situated here. And when we awaken from susupti, after manifestation from Mahavishnu, we can look towards the Supreme and see we're subordinate, or we can look towards the Supreme and say, no, I'm not subordinate. I want to be the Supreme. And that is the difference between material life and spiritual life. In material life, everyone wants to be the Supreme, as we said at the beginning of the class. Everyone wants to have the gold medal. Nobody wants to have the silver medal. Everyone wants to win the World Cup. Everyone wants to be Miss World, not second, third. Everyone, just like the Americans, they went to, same example, they went to Vietnam. We're going to be in control. No, but the Viet Cong said, no, we want to be in control, right? Then we have the Cold War. The Russians are capitalists, and everyone wants to be number one. Sometimes it's within a family. They get married, oh, I love you very much, let's get married, we have a family. And then the wife wants to control the husband, right? She wants to be number one. Sometimes you see in the temple, the wife is walking in front, the husband is in the back, looking after the. Then sometimes the husband is in front. But now what's the advice? In the Vedas it says generally the wife should be the follower of the husband, supporter, equal. They can discuss, but they have different roles. The husband is the protector. The wife is the nurturer of the child, and so on. So there's a harmony there. But if everyone is trying to be number one, not necessarily just in a family, or nationwide, and same thing, different businesses, General Motors and Ford, right? Now they're both making money. They're not satisfied. They want to be the number one, right? There's Apple and then there's Windows. And each one wants to be number one. They're not satisfied. Oh, I got billions of here, and he's got billions here. No, I want to destroy his business. And that's the demoniac attitude, is it not? Later in the Gita, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my plans. He is my enemy, and I have killed him. He is my enemy, and I will kill him. There's nobody as strong and as powerful as me. I am surrounded by aristocratic friends and relatives. I will give in charity, and in this way I will rejoice. I will be known forever. I'll have a statue in the town square. People will praise me forevermore. I am Ravana. Right? I am Hiranyakashipu. I am Duryodhana. I am the greatest thing. But no, you're so powerful. These little Ravanas we have there, nothing compared to what Ravana. But in 1 minute, he's finished. Duryodhana is now going to be finished. He's got a bigger family. So there is a supreme. We have to recognize that. And our interest that Arjuna will be taught is to harmonize with that supreme. You understand? That is yourself, and that is not artificial. Krishna says, Mavaivangsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The spirit souls are my part and particles eternally. But because of the mind, mana shastra indriyani prakriti sthani kashati, they're struggling with the mind, and they're involved in trying to be number one in the material world. And now, when you're trying to be number one in the material world, you can't enjoy, because you're in anxiety. Huh? Just like if you want to get the gold medal, you have to do your suffering. You have to train for 10 years how to jump over a piece of wood, right? To do the high jump. You have to train for 10 years so that you can be 1 inch higher at jumping over the wood than the next person, right? And then they give you a gold medal. But it's not gold. It's probably just painted or something. Yeah. So after 10 years of suffering and training and self-discipline, you get a piece of metal. Right? So this is the material world. You don't get anything of value. Yes, you may be a central banker making money from lending money and so on. You may be a trillionaire, but you can only eat 5 chapatis. If you eat 10 chapatis, you're going to suffer. You're under control. No matter how much your family is a big position, no matter how, you're under control. So if you're under control, just like a bad son, then you should harmonize with your father, right? Just like that person driving the car too fast. Instead of getting speeding tickets from the police, he should drive as required. He should drive in harmony with the laws of the nation. He should cooperate, right? And then he can pursue his job nicely. So this is why the atheist will say, oh, because there is suffering, there is no God. But actually, you can use the same example to prove there is God. There is a supreme. And the suffering is your help. But why do the atheists take that point of view? This is the interesting point. It is an attitude problem. 2 people stand together and they look at the sunset, or they look at the moon in the night and the stars, and it's a beautiful night and stars are glittering and the river there, and one person says, what a wonderful creation God has made, the Creator has made. And the other person says, huh? There is no God. It was made by a big bang. Now the first person said, no, there was intelligent design, the DNA, the interplay of all the natural forces, the balance, the creation. Says, nope, that's by chance. So ultimately, the atheist will say, there's suffering, that shows there's no God. But the theistic person will say, this is correction by the Supreme Lord. He's trying to teach you that instead of being rebellious to his supremacy, you live in harmony with it. And what does Krishna say in the Gita? And then, now, who is correct? This is the point. Next point is, so those 2 people, they go to an art gallery. And they're looking at the beautiful paintings. Oh, that's wonderful. And the first person looks at the painting and he thinks, I wonder who the painter is. Such a beautiful painting. It touches my heart. And the other person says, there's no painter. There was a big bang in a paint factory. And all these paintings came flying out. And they were all beautiful. Now here's a painter here, Vrindavan does, right? Yes? He's a great painter actually. Now does he just throw paint around to make a painting in an explosion? But this is the idea. Oh no, there's a painting, there's a creation, there's a painter but no painter. Which is reasonable? Which is more reasonable? Huh? If there's a painting, there's a painter. If there's a creation, there's a creator. If there's laws, there's a law maker and a law maintainer. Like if you go, the laws in India, they're maintained, they're created by the government, and they're maintained by the police force and so on and so forth, right? So if you go into an art gallery and you look at a painting and you say there's no painter, there's something wrong upstairs. It means you're a crazy man, right? Huh? So what are the material scientists? And here's another, we can extend that. The material scientists, what do? They say, oh, there's no painter. But then they get the painting and they analyze it. It's a mixture of blue and grey here. I think he used oil here. I think he used eggshells here. And then there's a bit of formaldehyde here. They take apart the painting, right? This is what material scientists, they take, oh, this is incredible. The DNA, it's incredible. All this information is on this spiral molecule and it's all packed inside a cell, and there's this cell, the DNA creates skin and it creates hair, and when you have a cut, the DNA there's these little things that make the skin cells, and they say, but there's no painter, there's no creator. Huh? You go, it's the same as you go to Delhi and you say there's nobody made this place. Right? Huh? Nobody made Delhi. No, 1,000 millions of people over thousands of years, they made Delhi. So what, you're going to the forest and you're seeing trees and you're seeing flowers and you see polar bears, not in the forest, but you see grizzly bears and cats and this and that, and there's no creator. It just happened by chance. The whole creation. So then the scientist is taking it apart. So why don't you admit, okay, be a scientist, analyze the painting if you must. But if you take the painting apart too much, then you lose the painting. Huh? Nobody lets a scientist take apart the Mona Lisa to see how much paint is there. How Leonardo mixed the paint. Huh? No, they look. That is the primary function of the painting. But you cannot really understand, like Leonardo da Vinci. I've seen the Mona Lisa in Paris, and it is wonderful. But that's the real thing. The real thing is not how much paint he used. The real thing is his skill. Huh? But as soon as you say skill, you refer to what? A skillful person. So this is the material scientist. He wants to take apart the DNA and he wants to find out the laws of the universe, but there's no lawmaker. Nobody made the laws in India why everyone drives on the left side. That was just by chance. It happened. Huh? So this is atheism. And then Pravritim cha nivritim cha, Krishna explains in the Gita, that because they, like, this comes back to what we were saying earlier, the creation of society is there. You have the intellectual class, you have the governmental martial class, you have the business class, you have the working class, you have this naturally. But in the Vedas it says now, the Brahmins, the intellectuals, they should live in this way. They shouldn't be drunkards. They should be austere, and they should be full of good qualities by performing sadhana. The Kshatriyas should be learned in the philosophy too, and they should protect the people. And the Vaishyas, trading is necessary, but they should do a fair deal. They shouldn't cheat. They shouldn't mix water into the milk, or urea, or God knows what. And the Sudras, they should be reliable and do their work reliable. But if there's no sense of the law of karma, if there's no sense of action, I will get a reaction. If there's no inspiration to act good, because there's no conception of a Supreme Lord, then it will fall apart. Then you'll get the Brahmins that sit in leather chair and get drunk and speculate. Maybe it came by chance. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was always here. But if it was always here, give me another brandy. And then other donkeys publish that donkey stuff. Or the Kshatriya think, oh, now there's no God, so let me get more money. Let me go, just like the caliphate in Turkey. You know, when they had a Muslim caliphate, I think it had 1,000 concubines, more than 1,000. They were all concentrated. So what you can do with 1,000 women? It's ridiculous. But more, because the conception of God regulates people, and the conception of the law of karma regulates people, and the conception of suffering regulates people. Because if I do good, I'll get good. This is material platform. If I do bad, it will come back. Just like it's explained there, 3rd chapter of Anjalila in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ramchandra Khan, he was very envious to Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was chanting. So who's this, who's that, who's that? So he was sending prostitutes to try and seduce Haridas Thakur. Oh, you go there and then we'll show who's a real holy man. But, of course, Haridas Thakur wasn't polluted. But Ramchandra Khan, he lost everything. It's explained he had to eat the bitter fruit of his activity. Now, if he'd gone to Haridas Thakur and said, please give me some instruction, please teach me how I can improve my chanting, please teach me how I can be a better person, Haridas Thakur would have given him all the mercy in the world, given him good instruction. And then his life would have been fulfilled by association with the sadhu. But he was envious. So the demoniac people, this is an important point to remember. Just like the drunkard, he wants everyone to become a drunkard. Right? If you go into the drinking house and you say, I'll have an orange juice, they'll all look at you. What's wrong with you? Look at him. He's a Nancy boy. You know, he's gay. He's drinking orange juice. He's not a real man. I come here every night and I drink a whole bottle of whiskey. That shows I'm a man. Why don't you become a man? So this is, honor amongst thieves or something, or... So this is why a satsangi chagi, a Vaishnavachar. If you want to become a devotee, you have to be careful of bad association, because they will try to pull you. They will try to pull you to the dark side. But that's another point. But the main point is that the devotee knows, and that's also in the 5th canto. Nunam pramatta kurate vikarma yad indriya. It is there that Lord Rishabdev, he's retiring from being a king. He's going to the forest to do bhajan. Very wise. He didn't sit like we sometimes see nowadays. A man, he wants to sit in the position until he's dead, His hair's falling out. He can't speak properly, but he has to sit on the chair. He has to be in charge. Can't retire. But Lord Rishabhdev, when he was strong, said, now I'll go to the forest and I'll perform bhajan. So he said that. He said that if people engage in sense gratification, it is a form of insanity. That means selfish. Now you may say, but what does that mean? I have a wife, I have food, I have to have food, I have to have a wife, I have to have a job, I have to have this. So then the Vedas come forward and they say, yes, you have a hunger, so get married. But this is your tapasya. Be faithful to your wife. She will love you for that. You must eat, you have a hunger to eat. Okay, then eat these foodstuffs and purify it by offering to Vishnu. Okay, you want to have a job? Then, okay, but satuvrite, 6 things, number 5 is satuvrite, that you should have an occupation that is pure. You can't be a bank robber for Krishna. Many people might think so, but you should have a pious activity as prescribed by the Vedas. You want to have a home? Okay, have a home. But in your home, have a temple room. And there read the Bhagavatam with your children. Teach them kirtan. But now the temple in Kali Yuga is the television set, right? Everyone does bhajan at night to the television. Oh, I'm meditating. My brain is going slower. No, your brain should be becoming more vibrant through meditation. So the Vedas don't say give up material life artificially. They say discipline it in this way and center it on the Supreme Lord. And that way, Janma Kama Te Me Divyam Evam Yovati Tatvata, and realize the Supreme Lord through the Mahabharata, through the Gita, through the Bhagavatam, through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and gain eternal realization. And then, what is that verse? Yanti Deva Vrata Devam Pritrin Yantri Prit, right? We have a propensity to worship, right? People worship sports stars, film stars. Krishna explains, you can worship the Devas, you'll go to the Devas. You can worship the forefathers, you'll go to the forefathers. And in Kali Yuga that means people worship pop stars. Oh, this pop star likes blue. I'm going to wear blue. Huh? This pop star drinks Coke, at least on television. I'll drink Coke. Right? So they're following, they're worshipping. Everyone wants to worship. Again, this is like what we said earlier. Whatever Krishna, the characteristics of the individual soul is to worship. So then Krishna says, and then some people, they worship the Bhuta, right? They worship Rakshasas, ghosts, with blood sacrifices. There's whole religion, tribalistic religions, where they offer animals on certain sacrifices, and they even offer, in the worship of Molech, they used to offer the first grain of the first sheep, the first fruits, they would offer to Molech, and the firstborn son they would offer. This is Tama. And then Krishna says, but those who worship me, they come to me, they get eternal life. So the Vedas is a whole package. It doesn't say just give up the world. It says discipline your material activities, and within that, read the Bhagavatam and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then you will directly, personally realize the Supreme Lord. So the yoga, bhakti-yoga, yoga means union. If you chant Hare Krishna and live a pure life, and like Arjuna is going to be trained in this way, it won't be based on faith, what somebody said 2,000 years ago, or some book even. Because you will personally, in your own heart, see the result. This is the thing, right? This is the difference between the Vedic yoga and those man-made tribalistic religions. They're always based on faith. But if you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, you feel in your heart, right? There's devotees here 30, 40, 50 years, still chanting, and every day. You think, oh, I've done it for 40 years, now I won't. No. Well, you may if you make big offense, but then Krishna will correct you. So this is the message of the Vedas and the sublime message of the Vedas. And then the attitude problem of thinking I'm the Supreme melts away. And that's the root. And then what happens? Right? Remember last time we were through? The last verse is that if you surrender to Krishna, what's the four things in the last verse? Yatra yogeshwaro Krishna, yatra patha dhanodhara, tatra stri vijaya bhutir. His four things. There will be victory, extraordinary opulence, morality, nitya, and then four things. Extraordinary, yes. There will be extraordinary power, there will be opulence, there will be victory and morality.
Siri also, Siri. Siri also.
Yes, opulence, power. And then victory. So surrender to Krishna doesn't mean in the material world, you know, the Americans had to surrender and leave Vietnam. We got to go. We have to leave Afghanistan. We're not the Supreme. Those Afghanis have beat us. Those Viet Cong have beat us. They had to surrender. They go losing. Shameful. But a devotee who surrenders Supreme Lord and harmonizes, he gets these four things. He gets perfection. And he gets what? Freedom from birth and death. And he lives eternally. Can you imagine? This is, sometimes we forget this when we're chanting. But if we keep to this process and realize Krishna and Krishna's pastimes, we will get eternal life, full of bliss and knowledge, away from suffering. So in that way, suffering is inspiration. And this is what we see here. Arjuna, he's suffering. And then he turns to Krishna. Oh Krishna, I'm confused. Now I'm your disciple. You instruct me what to do. So this atheistic argument, it is only based on attitude. Attitude problem. So thank you all very much for your kind attention coming for class. Any questions? But remember these arguments, because this is what atheists will say. This is their favorite. Oh, there's no God because there's suffering in the world. Right? You've heard this? No. That's proof that you're not supreme. And you're doing the wrong thing. So instead of getting toothache, use toothpaste. Do the right thing. Be intelligent. Avoid suffering. Just think, if there was no hangover after daru, right? People drink daru, right? That means people would drink non-stop and they'd be dead by the age of 25, right? It's the suffering stops them from drinking too much, right? Say you didn't get stomach ache, then you'd eat non-stop and you'd be dead in a day or so, right? So the suffering, it keeps us on the right track. So remember these arguments. But people in Kali Yuga, they can't understand philosophy. It's like Duryodhana. He has an attitude problem. Oh no, I won't even give the Pandavas 5 villages. I won't give them enough land that you can stick a pin in. Huh? Because I'm the Supreme. And that is the cause of his destruction. Huh? Right? So, questions? Comment? Refutations? Sitapati.
Humble request. Thank you, wonderful class.
You're ready for the atheist, Sitapati.
Thank you.
Surapati.
Super. Wonderful class, no doubt. Really no comment. Very good. I learned a lot of points through your discourse. And just for my sake, for my knowledge, is to remove my confusion, I'm asking you, Pandavas were there, Lord was there, Brahmaji so much elevated, their suffering was not finished.
Excuse me?
Their sufferings were not finished. Pandavas' sufferings were eternal. While Lord was there, Brahmaji, so learned, so personalities, he is not eternal. We are so small, we are so tiny, we are doing our little best, whatever we can do, like trying to do all basic 4 things, 5 things. But how we can remove our all sufferings, all problems? We are here in the material world.
Well, that was the class. How to we follow the Vedic path.
So why not Pandavas got their sufferings finished? And
Well,
why Brahmaji was not,
yes.
not eternal?
And that's right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam. It's a good question. Why did the Pandavas suffer? Why did Hiranyakashipu try to kill Prahlad? But what happened in the end? The Pandavas, they got extraordinary power, opulence and victory. And Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, was destroyed. Huh? Nrsimhadev protected. Queen Kunti, she said prayers, I wish that those troubles would come upon us again. Because now the battle of Kurukshetra, we are victorious. But you're going to Dwarka. But when we were in the forest under exile, you were always with us. So a devotee, yes, we have suffering condition, we have this body. So a devotee uses it, like I said, it's an inspiration to take shelter of Krishna. If we didn't have suffering, we might just think, oh, there's no suffering. Let's remain in the material world eternally. But even in the higher planetary systems, right? In Svargaloka there's suffering, because it's temporary. Nobody is Indra forever. Nobody is Brahma forever. Nobody is in the heavenly planets forever.
So wherever one is, he will remain.
So the nature of the material world, this is what we should contemplate. It's always suffering, just like Prabhupada, right? Before he died, he was his body was not well at all. Huh? So the nature of the material body it's fading away to destruction. It's like the screen on your smartphone, it's going to fade away. This material world, everything is temporary. Dukhalayam, miserable, asashvatam, and temporary. That's what Krishna says. You may be Lord Brahma, but that's not going to last forever. And in Brahmaloka, I have read, because I read various literatures all about heavenly planets, as you go up, you get more and more mode of goodness, and then you get more and more Vaikuntha. And just for our understanding, Satyalok, the place of Lord Brahma, is 90% like Vaikuntha, with 10% of the mode of goodness. It's practically, but still it's temporary. The material world is manifested and unmanifested. All the universes are manifested by Mahavishnu, and then they're all withdrawn. And it is to teach us that it's miserable and it is temporary. Therefore, we should go to the place where there's no misery, where there's eternality. So, this material world, as you get older, you get used to suffering. Is it not true? The child complains, "Oh, I got a toothache. Oh, Mummy, you're not doing what I want." Huh? But then as you get used to it...
Ultimately, sufferings are eternal. Whatever we can do in this material world, we can't be free from suffering. The Khalyam Saswatam. So keep on chanting, keep on having good association and so many good deeds. You have to suffer, ultimately.
Yes, but actually it just occurs to me now. I said like Prabhupada, body faded away.
Yeah.
But Prabhupada, he was translating and giving purports to the Bhagavatam right up to his last days. You know that? You can see the videos. And if you read those purports, they're perfectly brilliant. And one of his last purports, Prabhupada said, the devotee understands everything is occurring by the supreme will. Everything is under the supreme will. So the fact is that if you can awaken the soul, and I mean grow the soul's consciousness, then the sufferings of the material body become placated, because you're not identifying with the body. Just like if you're driving a car and somebody smashes into your car and you love your car, you're disturbed. But if you're not bothered, if it's your motor car, if you're detached, you think. So this is the proof of Prabhupada's sublime position. So we can also view it in that way, that the sufferings a devotee undergoes, like Arjuna is suffering here, they are actually glorification. Like Mataji said, when you see Prabhupada with his body is practically faded away and he's translating Bhagavatam, this is glorification, and it is proof of the spiritual platform, right? It is proof. So therefore, and that is glorification of Prahlad Maharaj. He's just a small boy, but Hiranyakashipu, he conquered so many planetary systems, not just India, Pakistan, or America can't even conquer South Vietnam. But he couldn't do anything, his son. It's glorification. You see?
Suffering is not suffering. They are suffering.
So that, you see that, right? Those four things: victory, opulence, morality, power. That is right. Who had the power? Was it Hiranyakashipu or was it Prahlad? Right? Who had the power? So you see, because of the attitude problem, always remember that. The atheism is based on an attitude, a denial of the Supreme and an attempt to be the Supreme. You see? Because of that root of rebelliousness, they can't see anything. They can't see what's in front of their face. Like I said, the man who goes into an art gallery and looks at a painting and says there's no painter, he's a fool and a rascal. Right, he's a muta, he's a fool. Oh, like Prabhu here makes some beautiful paintings. Right? If I go to his studio and I say, did it happen by chance? You put the paint there and there was a strong wind and it all flew onto the canvas, then I'm a fool and a rascal. Huh? It's an that's what Krishna says, muta and duskritina. Huh? So the devotees of the real power, actually, Arjuna was victorious, Yudhisthira was there. Duryodhana had no real power when his time was done, Hiranyakashipu. And we see this. This is why the battle of Kurukshetra finished, gone. Right? Gone with the wind, as they say. Right? Okay. Thank you all very much. Aarti is starting in the temple. Do some bhajan to Krishna. Grow your soul. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Sadhu Sangha Bhagavad-Gita Vrindavan Dham Ke.